Hi, this is Todd with EsotericCarCare.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Claydisc by SONAX. SONAX Claydisc, what this is designed for is removing embedded contaminants from your paint. You might ask, what are embedded contaminants? Well, an easy way to find out if your paint needs something like this is while you're washing it and while the surface is wet, just gently feel your hand across, like the upper surfaces and then particularly down the lower surfaces. If it is completely smooth, you don't need something like this. If you feel a lot of bumps and stuff that's like stuck on the surface, that's where this comes into play. You want to get those removed from the surface, particularly if you're going to be doing any kind of machine polishing. Speaking of machine polishing as it relates to claying, up to a couple of years ago, if you wanted to remove those contaminants from the surface, you had to use the traditional clay, detailer's clay, to remove it. It's a great product, but the problem is you're going to go through a lot of it. If you drop it on the ground, you pretty much have to throw away at that point because it's going to stick in it and then that will scratch up the surface pretty badly. Products like these came onto the market and really changed how we were handling the decontamination process of detailing. This just makes it much quicker, and you get a little bit more expense up front, but these will last a long time. For instance, this is designed to last up to about 60 uses. So for the DIY person, you're going to keep this in your arsenal for a long time. If you're a professional detailer, you're going to get a lot of uses out of it. With 60 applications, that's going to go a long way before you have to invest in another one. And the nice fact that you don't have to worry about dropping it on the ground. You can just clean it up and continue using it. But one of the ways that you're going to get this ready to be used is you got to break this in before use. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to use your clay lube, put it on a windshield, for instance, and then you're going to rub this on it for 30 seconds to a minute. You got to kind of break in that surface before it's ready to be used on paint. But before we do that, let's talk about the prep leading up to it. You want to completely wash the car and get it thoroughly clean, as much of the loose stuff off as you possibly can. Then we would recommend using something like Geon iron, where you're going to get a chemical decontamination. And that's going to break down a lot of the iron deposits that might be stuck into the paint. It'll make your claying process a lot smoother, so to speak. Go through your prep process, get the vehicle completely ready to go, and you want to make sure that you're doing it on a cool surface. Just like washing your car, you want to make sure it's done in the shade, clean the surface, then get ready for your decontamination process. Now, once again, comparing it to traditional clay, claying, if you have a car that's got a lot of contaminants, that could take you an hour plus, particularly if you've got a white car with just a lot of stuff embedded into the surface. Whereas with a clay pad, it shouldn't take you more than about 10 minutes to do an entire car. It makes it that much more quick of a process to do. And if you're doing this for a living, it just makes your whole job a lot more profitable, being able to save a lot of time in it and be a lot more effective in it. This is very nice in that now it comes with a backing pad on it, so you can hold it in your hand to work the surface. It also has a Velcro back, so if you wanted to use this on a DA machine to decontaminate the surface, you can do that as well. Personally, here at the shop, we've always preferred to do it by hand. We find that it's a lot quicker than doing it by machine. You're not having to drag a cord around out in the wet area. It's a really convenient feature that comes right with it. And as you're working the surface, what you're going to do is you're going to spray the clay disc down with clay lube, and you're going to spray some on the surface. Make sure that surface stays wet all the time as you're doing it. Otherwise, you significantly increase your risk of marring the surface. So spray down the surface, spray the clay disc, and just go over the surface. And you can typically hear the contaminants as you're going across it as it's picking it up, and then as that sound kind of goes away, you know you've removed it from it. So what we'll do is we'll work one section at a time, call it a door, and I might do part of it, and if I've got a lot that's coming off, I'll just keep a rinse bucket there, dip it down into the rinse bucket, spray a little bit more clay lube on it, and then continue working it from there. Get all the contaminants off, and then it's ready to rinse off the car and take it back in for polishing. Now, after you're done with this, you want to make sure completely rinse it out, set it down to air dry. You do not want to use any kind of solvents with this. If you've got tar on the surface, don't try to mix a tar remover with this, because you will break down the rubberized face of it. So only use clay lube with it. Don't use any kind of solvents. But after use, clean it, set it on a shelf, let it air dry. It's ready for the next time around. Now, speaking of claying and the importance of it, if you've watched any of our other videos on claying, we've done them on clay, clay lube, so on and so forth, is we're going to tell you something that nobody else wants to tell you. Do not use one of these unless you have got the ability to polish, machine polish in particular, the paint afterwards. I don't care what your technique is like, I don't care what kind of clay lube you're using, you are going to mar the finish during the process. Now, the paint condition, the paint color, it's all going to kind of dictate how bad that marring is going to be and how easy you can see it. If you've got a dark colored car in particular, you've got a red, a blue, a black, you're going to see the marring really easy on it. If you've got like a metallic silver, it's going to be very difficult to see any kind of marring. So if you've got an older car, metallic silver, you've got a lot of contaminants in it and it's kind of rough shape, you see a lot of swirls, you're probably not going to notice the marring that you're going to leave in here. But if you've got a car in better condition, do not use this or any kind of clay unless you plan on doing machine polishing afterwards. So a very, very important safety tip. I've talked to some people that think that they need to clay their vehicle when it's brand new and then just put some kind of protection on it. Well, you can do that, but you're going to mar up the surface in the process. It's really simple, particularly if you've got the ability to do any kind of polishing afterwards. Really simple to get those contaminants off. It's going to save you a lot of time in the long run, and this is going to last you a long time. And the fact that they have this convenient strap on the back for using your hand makes it an absolutely fantastic product. But don't just take my word on it. Go to our website, esotericcarcare.com. Take a look at reviews left by others. If you've got some information to leave behind, we definitely appreciate you taking a few moments to fill out the review form. Please be sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're constantly updating new videos on detailing and car care tools, products, and techniques. That's about all for today. For esotericcarcare.com, for SONAX, I'm Todd Cooperrider. Thanks, and we'll see you again next time.